We're making tomato bisque as a great way to launch ourselves into all things creamy, cozy, vibey fall while still giving just a hint and a kiss to summer. I am so excited to share this recipe with you. I've shared a tomato soup and tomato bisque with you in the past, but I like to say this is, I think, the ultimate because it combines the best of all worlds, which I will explain to you as we go. First things first is get your oven ready to 400 degrees. I want that preheating. I love to make my tomato bisque with a combination of canned tomatoes and fresh tomatoes. Why, you may ask? Because the combination of the two allows you to get that really beautiful, like fresh, sweet, deep flavor of summer. And the canned tomatoes is just gonna bulk up your tomato factor in your tomato bisque. I like doing both, but if you want to make this soup in the dead of winter, which I do, you can just omit the fresh tomatoes because there's really no point, and you just use 2 cans of whole Plum San Marzano and it would be absolutely delicious. So the choice is yours. I'm just taking these vine ripe tomatoes. They're a little bit on the not so ripe side, but you know, it is what it is. We are at the tail end pretty much of tomato season, and we're just gonna make do with what we've got. And I'm just gonna cut these into large chunks or wedges, whatever. If you can find the tiny little vine ripe tomatoes, those are really nice and sweet. You can just use those, and all you have to do is cut those in half. Okay, put them over here. I got a tickle. I got a tickle on my face. Sometimes, you know, when you have a fuzz that lingers and you can't find it, that's what I feel like right now. I'm gonna take a half of a red onion and I'm just gonna peel it, obviously, and cut this into thick slices, like half moon. Just get that outer layer off. Come on. Get that dispersed through. And then we've got some garlic. You can double or triple this recipe and it freezes beautifully. It makes a great lunch meal prep. It makes a fantastic easy dinner with a grilled cheese. It's wonderful, and it's a great thing to have on hand. Like I said, if you want to pop some in the freezer and then you come home from a night, you know, exhausted from work and you don't want to have to deal with making dinner, take it out, defrost it in a pot, and you're good to go. I'm gonna add some fresh basil. Come on. Can't get that off the stem. I feel very weak today. Very weak, which is very unlike me, but you know, is what it is. Some nice, beautiful fresh basil. I've added some garlic in there, and now to this, I'm gonna add some olive oil. This is extra virgin. You could use regular olive oil. I like to do a touch of balsamic. It gives you a little tang, which is nice against all the sweetness of the tomatoes. And it also helps caramelize. And a good pinch of salt. This could be, just like this could be a wonderful tomato and onion salad, but it's gonna be really delicious roasted. Once roasted, we'll add it to our soup, or once roasted, you can add it to a baguette. But you know, this recipe is like a 3-in-1. We got salad, roast tomato, and a soup. I'm gonna pop that in there. Probably like the entirety of the soup cooking, which is gonna take probably in there for like 30-40 minutes. I want those very caramelized. In the meantime, in my stock pot, I'm gonna do another onion. Yes, you heard that correct. This is just a yellow onion, a medium yellow onion. Cut that in half. Since this is getting pureed, you don't have to worry about cutting. Oh, I forgot the oil. You don't have to worry about cutting that too small. I'm gonna add some olive oil, obviously. And wait until you see how good this is. And I'll tell you my trick for what I think gives you the most perfect, like velvety texture to your soup, which I'll share with you in just a minute. I got 2 stalks of celery, rough chop. Because I'm gonna be blending this, I'm not gonna peel it, but sometimes I like to peel my celery because it can get all stringy. And then a couple of carrots, which I am gonna peel, rough chop, and add it right in. Okay. I'm gonna get these sauteing. I'm in no hurry. Let these just saute. I'm not looking for great color. I'm not looking for anything crazy. I just want them to soften a little tiny bit and develop some flavor. Now, you know I love a spud. If I were to be a vegetable, I would be a potato. And do you know why I would be a potato? Everyone loves potatoes. They're very, very versatile. They're cheap. That just means I'm easy to please. And they're versatile. Did I say versatile? They're just delicious. One spud, one potato added to your tomato bisque is going to take your bisque from a thin tomato soup situation to a velvety, delicious texture that is absolutely addictive. You don't believe me? Try it one time and I promise you it will change the game. I am not kidding when I tell you it makes a world of a difference, so you're gonna have to give it a try. I'm just gonna peel this potato and I'm gonna set it aside, chop it and just set it aside until I'm ready to add it to my pot. But please don't skip it. It does make a big, big difference, and you're adding it to a big pot of soup. So it's gonna not like feel heavy. You won't even know it's in there, but the texture, you'll see. Those look fantastic. I'm just gonna end them there because I don't need them to cook any longer. I'm gonna go ahead and use some canned tomatoes. These are just some Marzano, like plum tomatoes. Okay, I'm gonna use a can of that. Some stock, which I'm just using water, and a couple of bouillon cubes, which are here somewhere. There they are. You can use vegetable or chicken, it's totally up to you. But you can also just use regular chicken stock or veggie stock if you want to keep it veggie friendly. And now your potato. That's it. Easy and simple. It's delicious. It's magical and wonderful. Just you wait. I'm gonna add a pinch of Italian seasoning. Like it. A little fresh Vinegar. I'll remove the stem when it's done. And I'm just gonna simmer this. I don't know, 30 minutes or so, or until my other tomatoes are ready on a gentle simmer. By that point, your veggies should be soft, 30, 40 minutes, and I'll show you the next step. This has been simmering for about 40-ish minutes. My potatoes are tender, everything's pretty tender. These are my roasted veggies and they look spectacular. I tasted that broth and it is literally so delicious already. Look at these tomatoes and the onion and the garlic. You see how like intensely roasted they are? Now they're sweet. Now they've got depth. Adding this to this is only gonna make everything else so delicious once it's all blended together. I removed it from the heat because I am gonna use an immersion blender. You can do this in a regular blender. It's just like a lot, you know what I mean? So I'm just gonna use my immersion blender. It's gonna take a few extra minutes, but it's gonna come out just fine. Do this off the heat because as you blend, it will splatter and you don't wanna do that while it's actually boiling. So go for it. Look at that texture. Now, you can leave it here if you want to. However, I think a little richness from a little heavy cream does all kinds of wonderful things. So I'm gonna add a little heavy cream. I put it back on the stove, back on the heat. I added my heavy cream and I'm just gonna let this simmer for a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes or so on a gentle heat. You can still see some of the specks of the basil. If you want it to be completely smooth, like without even a fleck of anything, use a high power blender. An immersion blender is never gonna like make all of those go away, but it's very velvety, creamy, and smooth, and to me, that's what I want. Do you know what I mean? I don't really worry so much about a little basil fleck here and there. As long as all the vegetables are like pureed, I'm good. I'm gonna let this simmer gently, and that's it. Make sure you taste it for seasoning. This is the time to go ahead and season some more with salt or pepper, whatever, because once it's done, you let it cool, then it's just not gonna, like the seasoning won't blend in really nicely. So you wanna season it at this point while it's gonna simmer for a bit, and then you're golden. Look at that, it's just gorgeous. I want you to look at that texture, and that, my friend, is due to that potato. I made this for a friend recently, and she said the difference between my tomato bisque and everybody else's tomato bisque is everyone else's tomato bisque feels watered down, whereas this one feels really luxurious and like velvety. I'm like, I know, it's because of the spud. Look at it, it's gorgeous. Now, when I serve it, some basil, I may do another drizzle of cream on top, some parm, freshly cracked black pepper, all the things, okay? I got a loaf of sourdough in the freezer screaming my name to pull it out and serve it with the soup, which I will do. I love soup. It's perfect. It's tomatoey, but it's very tomatoey, obviously. Not a hint of acidity. It's like sweet and rich. Texture is on point. It's everything I want it to be, and then some. Go to laurainthekitchen.com for the written recipe. Hope you enjoy spending time with me. Make this. Let me know how you like it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.